Oh, I was not prepared. I'm so sorry, gang. All right, this week on Previous World Weekly. I am unprofessional. I apologize. All right, this week on Previous World Weekly, Skottie Young returns to Fairyland. The Warner Brothers bloodbath continues, and we discuss your nerdy top 5. It's all happening right now on Previous World Weekly.
Is it?
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. Ew, man, God,
Dude.
This is not the show.
Nope.
Just turn it off now, guys. I'm sorry. What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, but I really don't feel like I earned that moniker today.
You know, some days are just going to be rough. This week has been, I don't know about you, I've been distracted all week. So This has just been like being pulled from thing to thing. So just bear with us, guys. But it's okay. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about comics, right? And most importantly,
New catalog,
right? Yay! So this September previews is in comic shops today because we're at the end of August. Don't let that confuse you. Just roll with it, right? And so we're looking at items that are going to be available in November. Again, don't let it confuse you. Just roll with it, right? But on the front cover, we have some post-apocalyptic loving.
Love that.
Right? Perfect for you, Ashton, from Jason Aaron, actually. But, you know, the other thing, this really caught my attention, actually. There's a new Bendis series from Dark Horse called The Ones. And listen to this description, because I thought this was really cool. It's well, first of all, it's Bendis and artist Jacob Edgar. Okay. And so, you know the Chosen One trope, right? I mean, of course, Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Matrix.
Neo, Frodo, Buffy, the Chosen Ones, right? This is brilliant what they're doing with this series, right? Everyone who was told they were a chosen one teams up to defeat the actual chosen one.
I love that
I
idea.
love that. I love that concept for a comic. And so it's Brian Michael Bendis. So, you know, it's going to like, you know, have his like stamp all over it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see what he specifically does with this concept.
Right.
Like, I think this is a fun concept. So, yeah, definitely check that out. Reverse side, flip side of the previous catalog. In comic shops today. Also, you can go to previewsworld.com/catalog and look at the whole catalog for free if you want to. You know, doesn't hurt either. Also, I got to point out for Johnny, I Hate Fairyland sequel coming.
Yes!
Yes,
Ooh, it's on the spine of that, isn't it?
Actually, oh, you know, it is on the spine. You're right. I don't know if you can really get that on cameras too well, but yeah, I Hate Fairyland sequel coming out. We'll talk about that later, so that was a bit of a spoiler for later in the show. But also, big news, you guys.
Big news.
Ashton watched Sandman.
Oh, I did. I wasn't sure where that was going, but I'm like, I'm here for the hype.
You were just all over it. I was like, okay, well, all right. I appreciate the support, but this is really about you. So,
it is.
I feel like last week I said, I feel like you would dig this show.
Oh, I loved it. You're totally right.
So, yeah, I was about to say, validate me. Was that right?
Yes. Okay, so I've only been through the first 3 episodes, but I am desperate to get through the rest of this. I love it.
Good.
I think you said last week that it was really stylish, and it totally is.
Yeah, it is. It's got some flair to it. It does, which is nice. And, again, Netflix shows...
Hit miss.
Hit and miss with the flair.
Yeah.
This one's got the flair, which is nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I really like the idea that the gods in this show aren't totally omnipotent. That Dream could get captured by humans, summoned and then captured by humans, and that would set off his entire trajectory of being not able to complete his duties. So I loved that he was flawed from the get-go. The other thing I like about this is the humans are kind of the bad guys here.
Yeah.
Every step of the way, they're just creating issues and getting in his way and just generally being crappy.
Right.
Which
That's just the world in general.
But that's where I was going with that, Johnny.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I think it's really accurate. And his Raven even at one point says to him, like, when I was a human, humans weren't falling all over themselves to help each other, which is kind of true.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
I like that here. And the other thing I need to shout out is the Corinthian. He's great. But he also weirdly feels like he's doing a Ryan Gosling impersonation the entire time he's on screen. Like, when it first came on, I thought it was Ryan Gosling. Like, I had to get on IMDb. I was like, who is this? I didn't know Ryan Gosling was doing this. But I'm interested to see how this ends.
All right. So you haven't finished it yet, but you are pretty deep in this, I'm assuming. At
Yeah,
this
I'm about
point.
halfway through, a little less than halfway
Cool.
through.
All right. I had this moment. I got to be honest. The reason I stopped watching it after the first episode was like, I feel like I should just read the comics.
Oh, me too. I was
I
thinking
should-
that
yeah.
the entire time I was watching it because I was like, you had said last week it
Yeah.
made you want to read the comics,
Yeah.
and I had the same feeling. I don't even know where to start with that.
I mean, it's
though.
just volume 1. Like, it really is. I mean, it's not as long in the tooth as other series. So it's
Okay.
not like, it's not like, you're not going to be reading it like you read Batman, right?
Okay.
Right? So, I mean,
Fair.
there's a finite conclusion to the main Sandman book.
Okay.
But then if you're still like, I really love this and I want more of this,
Mm-hmm.
there are little pocket stories they've done. I actually remembered, I read Death, The High Cost of Living.
Okay.
Because I was kind of like counting off the Neil Gaiman stories I've read. I actually also read Death, The High Cost of Living. I actually loved that book. I thought that was a really good book. So yeah, if you want to, there's a lot of different avenues you can take with the
Okay.
Sandman series. So just to keep that in mind. But yeah, watching the first episode, I definitely had that moment where it's like, I remember this from reading the first volume. Very almost like verbatim. I was like, this is very loyal to what I remember reading.
Really?
And to get to the point where I kind of stopped because I was like, maybe I should just read the book.
Yeah, I feel like I want to see this all the way through because I'm so hooked, but I definitely want to read it too.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman, he's on Netflix. Netflix is funny, man. It really is. This whole streaming landscape, if I can we're going to talk about streaming services later in the show, but this whole streaming landscape is very fickle because Gaiman pointed out that Sandman has been at the top of Netflix's most viewed shows, most popular shows for 2 weeks straight.
Nice.
Right?
That's awesome.
But he also pointed out that does not guarantee a second season.
Which is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Like, Netflix has a track record of canceling popular shows
Right,
for no
yeah.
discernible reason.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it's always interesting because he also pointed out the show's expensive, and that's always another thing with me with these things is like, you guys know the show's going to be expensive when you start it,
Right.
so why start this thing if you know that you can't match the audience for it or vice versa or whatever it is, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. It's just a very strange thing, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that because this HBO Max thing kind of hit me where I live recently.
It is messy.
It is a bloodbath.
Before we move on, we actually have a couple comments.
Yeah, what's going on in the comments?
So let's see. Here-
Producer Johnny Rose.
Yeah, live from my high command in my spaceship orbiting the studio.
Right, yes. He literally just hovers over the
Right.
studio.
He's not even on Earth.
He's not even on Earth.
Annie Fox checking in, our good friend, saying
What's
hey,
up, Annie
hey.
Fox? Say
Annie.
hey.
Welcome back.
She's also saying that the Corinthian is a total creep.
He is mega creepy.
I don't see. That's a character I don't remember. I don't remember the character from the comic. Maybe this comes later, but yeah.
And Tom's Comic Books and Reviews says he's a big Batman fan.
Okay, nothing wrong with
So
that.
we'll be getting
Everyone
into
is.
a little bit of that later on.
All right, yeah, we'll get into the Batman a little bit later too.
You either love or hate Batman. There's no gray area.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very fair point. All right, it is New Comic Book Day,
Mm-hmm.
so let's get into it. What's at comic shops? Ash and I are going to give you our picks,
Mm-hmm.
and then on top of that, we're going to show you some of the premiere titles available this week. Let's go. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
new comics this week. You want to go first? Should I go first? Who's going to go first? Yeah.
I don't know. Did I go first last week? I feel like I went first last
I
week.
think I went first last week.
I'll go first.
Okay, thank you, Johnny.
All right. Okay. Out here telling lies.
Deadly Class 55, right?
Ooh. Aw.
I know all good things have to come to an end, right? But typically I accept conclusions. Typically, I'm like, good, end it. Like, just end it.
Right.
Don't let it run forever, because
Or
then
like
it gets
peter off.
right. Then the brew gets spoiled once they keep going too long, right? But this one kind of hurts, man. I got to be honest.
You've been really, really into this for a while now.
I have for a good minute. Like, I did a whole video about why I love Deadly Class. I have interviewed the creators. You know, like, I mean, I was on board from like the beginning. We did the whole episode about the panel, for the
Yeah.
panel about Deadly Class. Clearly, I love Deadly Class. And 55, one more issue and it's done. So yeah, it's,
56 is the last
56 is the last
Oh,
one.
wow.
Yeah,
I
as
didn't
far
think
as
it
I
was
can
that
tell.
close.
And look, it's one of the best comics on the stands. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, I mean, I might be biased, but I mean, I came into this blind like everybody else. I got into the book late, to be honest.
Oh.
And yeah, it's just one of those things where as I'm watching it, as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is really good. Like, this is just kind of comics 101. Like everything that you need to understand about how to make a comic. And I mean, you won't come out of this being like an absolute comic book genius, right?
Sure.
But you are getting an education every single issue, and it is thoroughly impressive. The series kicked off in the 80s, took us into this School for Assassins, ton of teen angst, plus weaponry, plus hormones, right?
Yes.
It has been a glorious trash fire, every single issue. The best kind of drama, right? The last few issues have caught us up to these kids as adults, and
interesting.
we're moving through world events. So I mean, we've gone through the post-September 11th period. We've gone. I mean, the issues have been doing this interesting thing where they show the year, and inside the year is like an actual world event. So I think for 2001, it was Kanye and Mike Myers.
Oh my
on the charity special, talking about George Bush, right?
Kanye, stop.
Hey, he's consistent. But it's now we're one issue out, and it's kind of rough. And I don't even want to speculate about the ending.
Yeah.
I don't even care about speculating about the ending. I'm just happy to have experienced this series. To be God honest, true. And if you're not reading Deadly Class, you are a fool.
It's me. I'm a fool. I apologize.
Okay, I'll except for Ashton. I want to talk to people I can't see faces of. And it better get an Eisner, man. Give it an Eisner. Give it a Ringo.
Yeah.
What else is out there? There's the Ringos, the Eisners, the Harvey Awards.
Yeah.
It better get one of each this year because all hot takes, all bias. Your comic sucks if it isn't Deadly Class. My comic sucks because it's not Deadly Class. And that's the God honest truth. I'm just going to be honest with you on that one. Sorry.
I respect the conviction behind that.
Yes, Deadly Class is the absolute ish, and that's all there is to it. So, sorry to see it go, but it was a great ride. So there you go. Deadly Class 55 in comic shops today.